The month of July has come to an end, and it is finally time for the monthly recap that you have all been waiting for, where I go over the trades that I made in the month of July. But first things first, we do need to go over the record, as our Kansas City Royals are sitting at 59-47 on the season, which is still first place in the AL Central. The Cleveland Indians are only 2 games behind us, though, in second place, though. So they do have a good shot to take over that first place spot. If we have a down month of August and September, and they have a good month of August, good months of August and September, I should say, then they could definitely take over that first place spot. And neither of these teams are making the wild card because we're not a very good division, and there's a much better division out there, much better divisions, I should say. Now moving on to the portion you were all here for, and that is the trade portion. First trade I did was Alcides Escobar to the Los Angeles Angels, but Jersey, the Angels have a stacked infield. Where's he gonna play? I ignored it when you said you're gonna go over the trades in the July recap. Okay, so Alcides Escobar is going to the Angels. I didn't just go, hey, I don't give a shit where he goes. I don't give a shit if they don't have an opening. This is not a realistic trade. I didn't say that. Andrelton Simmons is currently on the 60-day DL for the Angels. He might be back for the playoffs, but as of right now, he is probably going to miss the rest of the regular season, so they need themselves a middle infielder. And what do you know? Alcides Escobar is a middle infielder. So, they have Alcides Escobar now, and in return, we got a decent starting pitching prospect in Jesus Castillo. He's a C potential, I will tell you that. He's only 22 years old, and he might possibly get a prospect profile this upcoming season. That's still to be decided, but just in case I am going to do that, I'm not going to show you his his attributes right now. Jake Jewell is a reliever that we got for them. He's currently in AAA for them. Probably going to still be in AAA for us as well, but I hope that he is going to be a big part of our bullpen either next season, or maybe halfway through next season, or maybe the next season after that. But I do hope, if he's not going to be in the bullpen opening day, he's definitely going to be one of those guys where, like, if someone gets hurt or if someone performs well, he's the first guy in. Or if someone doesn't perform well, he's the first guy to get called up from AAA, is what I'm trying to say. And really, I'm hoping he could be like our Chris Davinsky, Chad Green type of reliever, a guy who's going to eat up innings, pitch multiple innings with nasty stuff. He's got a great fastball. The guy can throw like 98 miles per hour, plus he's got some wipe-out stuff, so I'm hoping that he's going to be able to fill that role for us. Joe Gatto is the third guy we got. He's nothing special. I'll show you his overalls or his attributes because he's just kind of like a throw-in to have it in the system, because there's a lot of guys in the system right now that we have in the starting pitchers that I'm just not even going to re-sign. They're just not even worth having. They're like 26-year-olds with like a 60 overall in AA. I don't need that, so they're just not even going to be offered even like the $70,000 deal that you offer prospects. So he's just a guy to fill out the minor league system. And now, not only are the Angels missing their shortstop right now, they're currently in an extremely tight AL West race where basically every team in the AL West, did I say East? AL West. Every team in the AL West could make the playoffs because the Mariners are in last place and they're only 5 games back. So, I mean, every single team in that division has a shot at winning the division. It's pretty ridiculous, especially since we're entering August. The second trade I made was Ian Kennedy to the Baltimore Orioles. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Ian Kennedy, he doesn't really have a role for us. He was like our 5th starter. He was just kind of blocking people in our rotation, or in the AAA for us that I wanted to have, mainly Jesse Hahn. He was blocking Jesse Hahn. I should just say that, straight up say he's blocking Jesse Hahn, but now Jesse Hahn's in the rotation. And Ian Kennedy is on the Orioles because it's pretty self-explanatory. The Orioles don't have good pitching. Their starting pitching is god-awful. They need pitching help. And Ian Kennedy is not just a rental. They have him next year as well. Their pitching's so bad, he could probably be like their 3rd starter because like I said, their pitching is really bad. And then in return, we got Audrey Perez, a 29-year-old catcher. He has a great bat. He's raking in AAA right now. And he is a below-average fielder, doesn't really have the best blocking stats, or is it blocking? I think it's fielding that's just not good. I think he has decent blocking and like decent arm strength, but he's just not the best defensive catcher, but he does have a great bat. He could be our backup catcher next year for Salvador Perez, so we could have 2 Perez catchers at the Major League level, or he could be like our 3rd catcher, so if our backup catcher gets hurt or something or isn't performing, Perez will just get called up from AAA. And now moving on to probably the biggest trade that I made at the deadline, Jason Hammel to the New York Yankees. Now, I'm sure I'm probably going to get a few comments being like, Jersey, you only make trades with the Yankees. Why do you only get New Jersey players? Why do you only make Yankee trades? And, like, I just, when I'm doing trades, I just go directly to the Yankees and ignore every other option and just go, who do I want for my favorite team? I'm just going to make the Royals the Kansas City Yankees. That's not what I'm doing. I went through every single team that could possibly use a starting pitcher, and I came to the conclusion that the best fit for Hammel would be the Yankees, and the best prospect we could get back would be from the Yankees as well, because the Yankees, as we all know, have a stacked farm system, and they do need starting pitching. In real life, they could use starting pitching as well. They're probably going to trade for a pitcher at the deadline if I had to predict. That's in real life, but this is also a different reality. This is not real life. But even in this, they definitely need a fifth starter, or wherever Hammel would slide in, but they definitely need another starter in their rotation, because CC Sabathia has been absolute dog shit for them. His overall is down to like something like a 66 or something, and he's got like a 10 ERA. It's something ridiculous. He is just not performing well for them at all, and he's just downgrading through... I don't even know how to describe it. He's just playing awfully. He's getting even worse and worse and worse because of the aggression system they have in this game. So we gave them Jason Hammel, who is having basically a career year. He is absolutely lighting it up this year. I believe he's third in the American League for ERA, and I believe the Yankees now have like the second and third ERA in the American League with him and Severino. So their pitching rotation plus their lineup is also pretty stacked. So they're pretty primed for a World Series run, if you do ask me. If I do say so myself. And in return for Jason Hammel, we got Miguel Andujar. Now, he is the main piece that we got back, and I'm sure people are looking at what Andujar's doing in real life and being like, oh, you got that guy for Jason Hammel? You're an idiot. That's a stupid trade. That's unrealistic. Because they don't realize this is a different reality. The ratings don't match up. Miguel Andujar is not really that good in this. He's definitely a guy who could hit for us. I would say right now, as it stands right now, before we enter free agency, before I do another assessment of the roster heading into next season, he probably is going to be either our starting third baseman, starting first baseman, or starting DH next season. It really all depends on if Moustakas accepts the qualifying offer, and if there's a free agent out there who catches my interest, who could maybe be like a stopgap at like third or first, so only Dozier has to play, and Andujar could have another year development throughout the minors, so then when he finally does come up, he's ready to just absolutely rake. We also got Luis Cessa in return for that. He was just kind of like a throw-in, because Cessa is probably not going to be much more than like a depth starting pitcher for us. I doubt he's going to be like a really key starter for us. I mean, he could surprise us all and develop into something, but I mean, it's not like he's a super young prospect. He's kind of what he is at this point. He's just a depth starter, and like I said, we don't really have any depth to our starters or our relievers, so pitching was a big focus for me heading into this trade deadline, as you'll see with this trade, or with these trades, and also the next trade I'll be going over. We also gave them Cody Ashe, who was just like a pretty good third baseman slash first baseman slash outfielder, so he could play a lot of different positions, mainly a third baseman though. And I mean, the Yankees have so many people in their organization that even if they lose Andujar, who was not even playing for them, and he's like nowhere near the top of their depth chart at third base, they've still got Gleyber Torres, they've still got Brandon Drury, now they have Cody Ashe, they've got plenty of options at the third base position. And the last trade we made was with another New York team, well, the other New York team, because there's only two of them, Lucas Duda, back to the New York Mets. He is back in the New York groove. As this is the trade that I feel like they would do. This is a pretty realistic one because the New York Mets are in desperate need of a first baseman because Adrian Gonzalez is not rated well in this game at all, and he is not performing well at all, and they're in the middle of a playoff push. So they need a guy who can rake in the middle of their order, and Lucas Duda is definitely that guy they are missing. And I don't think they had to give up too much for him because his trade value wasn't really that high, and we did the best we could. We got Rafael Montero, a relief pitcher, who, once again, I'm hoping him and Jewel are kind of going to be like that Davinsky, Chad Green type for us out of the pen. The inning eaters guys, the guys who have wipeout stuff, also good fastballs. And I'm hoping Montero can be that guy out of the bullpen. So far in his career, he hasn't been too good in the major leagues. And with the Mets, they weren't even looking at him as really anything. He was just rotting away in AAA. There were multiple people above him in the reliever spots on their depth chart that he wasn't ever going to play for them. And then we also got Matt Harvey, who, I mean, every Mets fan at this point right now just wants him off the team in real life. But like I said, this is a different reality. This is not real life. I'm just using that as an example. And he also has been in AAA for them, and there's multiple starters in their depth chart above him in their organization in this franchise. So we got Matt Harvey and Rafael Montero in return for Lucas Duda. Harvey's probably going to be, or he is going to be, the number 5 starter for us. It's probably not going to be listed as that in the rotation, but he is our 5th best starter. Now taking a look at the All-Star teams, respectively, for the American League and the National League. On our American League team, obviously, we only had 2 players make the team. At third base, Mike Moustakas had the most votes out of any third baseman, so he is the starting third baseman on the American League All-Star team. And then we also have Kelvin Herrera, who is, I believe, 2nd in the American League in saves with 35, so he made the All-Star team as well. Those are our only All-Stars, and something about the All-Star teams this year that I've noticed is that there's like a glitch or something with them, because players who have like 2 at-bats in the major leagues are on the All-Star teams. What's the deal with that, MLB The Show? What's the deal with that, San Diego Studios? That's just another issue of the 3 bazillion of them with franchise mode. Harrison Bader, 2 at-bats in the major leagues with the Cardinals. He's on the All-Star team in the National League. Christian Stewart, 20 at-bats in the major leagues with the Detroit Tigers. He's on the All-Star team. Pretty strange, if I do say so myself. And now, before I wrap up this episode, let's take a look at the new look rotation, bullpen, and lineups of this Royals team, because we have made a lot of changes, and there's a lot of new players, and just a lot of spots that had to be filled. So the rotation right now is looking Danny Duffy, Matt Harvey, Jake Junis, Nate Carnes, and Jesse Hahn. Now, Matt Harvey is obviously not our number 2 starter long-term. I just slotted him in where Jason Hammel used to be, because that's easier than, like, rearranging it all. So Matt Harvey, he's just slotted in where Hammel used to be. And then as the bullpen goes, long reliever right now is Luis Cessa. The middle relievers are lefty Brian Flynn, Luke Hochshafer, Rafael Montero, Birch Smith, who's having a great year for us, Brandon Maurer, and Justin Grimm are the setup guys, and then the closer is Kelvin Herrera. The lineup against right-handed pitchers follows center fielder John Jay, third base Moustakas, DH Soler, right field Bonifacio, left field Gordon, first base Dozier, catching Perez, second base Merrifield, shortstop Torres. And then against lefties, it's pretty similar. It's center field Jay, third base Moustakas, DH Soler, right field Bonifacio, first base Dozier, left field Gordon, catching Perez, second base Merrifield, shortstop Torres. I try not to have too many righties in a row, so that's why Gordon is moved down in the spot, so there's more of a gap between the lefties and whatnot. Plus, he's also a lefty, and I don't want him batting 5th against lefties. So with that being said, it's going to wrap things up here for this edition of the Kansas City Royals franchise. It has been the July recap as we are heading into the month of August. Just a heads up right now, I goofed and accidentally did not record a August recap. I could have sworn I did, but I guess I didn't. It was late one night, and I guess I just forgot to do it. So there is going to be no August recap, which isn't that big of a deal, because all it would have been was just been looking at the stats, being like, hey, remember those stats from last month? Yeah, they're pretty much the same, just a couple RBIs higher on this guy. So the next monthly recap you'll see will be the one at the end of the regular season, and if we make the playoffs, it'll also be like a playoff preview. And with that being said, I've been your host, Jerseyborn, and I'm saying goodbye.
Said, won't you walk with me out of the mouth of this holler? We'll never leave a heart alive. Where the sun comes up about 10 in the morning.